Welcome guys. So we are starting with data structures in C++, and if you prefer some other language, there's no need to worry because we will soon make videos on them also. Alright. So in this tutorial, our primary focus would be on STL, and STL is basically standard template library, and once you study it, it will make your coding so much easier, so much better, so much efficient that you will wonder why I didn't study it beforehand. So we'll also study some other header files, some other key points, key facts that you need to know before when you're coding in C++. Okay, so moving on, the first line that we write in a code is its header file, right? And I don't like writing multiple header files, so what I do is I simply include the mother of all header files. That's bit/stdc++.h. What this does is it includes all the required header files in your code. Okay, now using namespace std int main. So the first thing that we'll be studying today is vector. In simpler term, what is vector? Vector is simply a dynamic array. All right, array has its own limitation, and vector overcomes them. What are array limitations? Like array can't increase or decrease its size at runtime, right? But vector can do that. So how to declare a vector? What's the syntax? Uh, just write vector, and then you can write uh, which data type you prefer, right? Sorry, which data type you prefer. So I can just write int. I'm making it an int, and then the name of a vector v. All right, now this with this we have declared a vector. Now how to insert a value in a vector? Okay, so I'll be inserting right now, let's say, three values. Okay, I'll iterate my loop three times, and after that I'll take the value in some variable num. Okay, now how do I put this value inside my vector? I'll use a function known as pushback num. So what it does is it simply firstly if I enter 1, then it'll push 1 in v, and after that it'll push 4, and after that it'll push 7, and the indexing will be in the form of 0, 1 and 2. Vector is basically a subclass of array, so it has all the features of array and it has some additional features. Okay, so our main focus shall be on the additional features. So with this we have actually inserted all the values in a vector. Now this is when you want to insert your values at the runtime. You are actually increasing its size. All right, you are actually stretching its size with pushback. Now there are other ways also of initializing a vector. Okay, suppose you want uh, to have your vector a uh, predetermined size. Okay, so how do you do that? You can simply use braces, and after that if you write 10, then your vector will have a size of 10. And if you want it to have some particular value when you initialize it, just write 5, these two parameters, and your vector will have 10 elements of value 5. This is another popular way of initializing a vector, but people usually prefer this way. You can even initialize a vector in this way also. Suppose you want to have them 5 values, right? 1, 2 and 3. Since I'll be running the code of vector multiple times, so I won't keep on entering values myself, so I'll just use this. So I'll just insert 5 values, right? 4 and 5. This is also another way of initializing a vector where it already has some value. So okay, before we move on, there's another primary function of vector, which is how to print a vector. Okay, so for that we'll be initially using a iterator. Iterator is simply a pointer which stores the address of the value you're pointing to. Okay, it's sort of like a pointer, but in STL we call it iterator because it serves many functions. Okay, so how to use an iterator? For auto I. What does auto do? Auto is a very important thing, you should know before you start coding in C++. Why? Because what auto does is it automatically converts your variable to a particular data type. It already typecasts it so that it can store the value. So if I write here 4.0, it will convert my I into a float. If I convert 5, it will convert it into int. All right, so right now I just want I'll call v dot begin. V dot begin will return me an iterator which points to the starting of vector. Okay, and since it's a pointer, I will automatically convert it into the required file. Okay, now till when I have to iterate, so till the time v is not equal to sorry, till the time I is not equal to v dot end, this will return me the iterator of the end position. Pretty simple, right? I after that I plus plus, and we can simply do this. See out. By the way, if I is a pointer, it stores the address of the value that you are pointing to. Then how do you print the value? How? We simply dereference it with the help of star I. Okay, so this will print the whole array, the whole vector, sorry. But since this way seems a little bit complicated, I generally don't use it myself. Okay, so what do I do? We have another way of printing a vector. As I mentioned before, vector is like a child class of an array, so it has all the properties of array. So how do you print in an array? You simply iterate through the whole array, right? I only have 4 elements right now, so 5 I plus plus, and I can also do this cout v of I. Now this is another way of printing an array, and this is pretty much actually much simpler than the previous one. Now let's try to run our code. Okay, see, 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5. This was using the iterator thing, and this was using the simpler array part. Okay, now we are done with the printing, so let's move on. Right, I think I'll need printing later also, so I'll just keep it in mind. Okay, now let's look at some important vector function that we need to know, and my personal favorite, that is v dot size. It will return you the size of the vector that you are pointing to. Okay, and yeah, we have another one, sort. So sort basically sorts your vector, and you don't have to write any now bubble sort, selection sort. You don't need to write that anymore. You just need to write sort from where to where, from begin to end. Okay, now this will sort your array completely. Okay, let's just look at an example of it. I'll randomly enter some elements. Okay, now let's run our code. N equals to v dot, oh sorry, I forgot to declare it. But we don't even need it, by the way. So see, 1 4 5 7 8, it's already sorted. But now some of you might be wondering, if I want to sort this in decreasing order, then you just have to write you just have to pass another third parameter which will act as a comparator. So you just have to write greater int, right? And this will help you with when when you pass this, then it will simply how does it act? It acts like a comparator, and it will help you. Wait a second, I think I made a mistake. Okay, no, no, no. Okay, so what greater int does is, it will tell it that don't when we are sorting it, basically check that a should be less than b, but greater int will tell that no, b should be greater than a. Okay, now I'll run my code. Okay, I thought there was something wrong. I just need to pass this as, okay, I think it works, right. Great. So now we have sorted our array in decreasing order 87541, right? So now we are done with the sorting part also, and we have seen how to calculate the size also. Okay, now let's move on to another very important function of vector, that is lower bound and upper bound. So firstly, I'll just initialize it. Lower bound and upper bound, they also return you an iterator. So I need to create two variables to store them in. This is how you declare an iterator, vector int, and then scope resolution operator, and then you just type iterator, and after that lower and upper I just use lnu. Okay, so Firstly, I'll calculate lower bound. What lower bound does is, just give me a second, I'll tell you. V dot begin, it takes three parameter v dot end and the element you are searching for. So let's just say 8. Okay, all right. Suppose you have an list of array, right? 1, 4, 4, 6, 6, 8, 9. Okay, and if I search, sorry, not 8, let's just say 6, searching. So if I want to search for 6, okay, so what lowbound does is, it will return me the first value that it encounters, that is either equal to that element or either just smaller than that element. Okay, it also acts as a binary search if you just use it correctly, and this will give you the result in log n time. Okay, so if I'm using 6 and I have 6 here, right? So it will give me the position of the first element where 6 was encountered, like 0, 1, 2, 3. So it will return me 3 plus the base address. I'll need to subtract that base address. And how do I do that? But L minus v dot begin, it will give me the index of 6. Okay, actually it will return me, since 6 is at third index, right? So L will store 6 plus 3 plus the base address of this vector. And suppose I was searching for 5 and there is no 5 in this vector, right? So what it will return me, it will return me this 4. It will return me this address of this 4. If the value you are searching for is not present, then it will return you a value that is just smaller than that element. Okay, and if I'm searching for 5, then it will return me the address of 4. Otherwise it will return me the array of, if I'm searching for 6, it will return me the address of 6. Okay, so this was the function of lower bound. However, it has a certain dependency that the vector needs to be sorted, right? It's sort of like the binary search, right? Now, if I want to store upper bound, what upper bound does is, unlike lower bound, if that element is present, what lower bound does is, if I have 6, then it will return me 6. If I don't, then it will return me something smaller than 6, right? But what upper bound does is, if I have 6, even then it won't return me 6, it will return me a value that is just greater than 6. If I'm searching for 6, it will return me 8. If I'm searching for 4, it will return me 6. Okay, that is upper bound. So how to use it? V dot begin, search from starting to end, and the third parameter that we pass is the value that we search for, right? So let's just say again 6, and I'll make a different vector. 1, so sorry, 4, 4, 6, 6, 8, and 9. Okay, however, there is a certain condition of how you should print your lower bound. That is, let's just say this is lower. Okay, so how to print this? Use L, and after that you have to subtract this with v dot begin, because L will store the value of the starting address of vector and the index of 6, right? So we just subtract it and we'll get an answer. And after that, let's just do end L, and we'll do the same thing for upper bound also. We'll check what difference we get. All right, upper L U, done. Now let's try to execute our code. Expected something something. After Python, I just forgot how to use even semicolon. Otherwise, I just used to, subconsciously used to write semicolon after everything. So lower returns me third. Since I'm searching for 6, 0, 1, 2, 3. See, 6 is the first element that we have found, and upper returns me 5. And the array is 1, 4, 6, 6, 8, 9. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it returns me 8, as I mentioned before. And if you use it correctly, it can do wonders. So be cautious of this function, and these functions are very, very important when you are competitive coding, right? So this was our lower bound and upper bound. Now what else are we left with? Okay, so there's another way of printing a vector. Just write this for int x in the vector that you are, and see out, this is actually a rush method. So see out x and just space, and this will also print a vector. Okay, it will iterate through each value of your vector, and then you can just print it. This is another way of printing a vector, and it's pretty simple. Now let's study 2D vectors, because 2D vectors are also very important. So how do you declare a 2D vector? How do you print them? It's when you are solving a matrix question, you'll need them. So let's see. So how firstly, let's revise how to initialize a vector. This was the way of initializing vector, right? So this will give me a vector. This will return me some sort of vector, right? Now if I want to make a 2D vector, instead of writing int, I'll just write another vector. So now what it will do is, by the way, just keep the space, otherwise it will become a bitwise operation. Okay, so what it will does, it will give me a vector v, which is a vector v is a vector which contains vector. Okay, so basically it's like suppose 1 2 3 and 5 or 4. Okay, but these each element, they are vectors themselves. Okay, so we have our 2D vector. Pretty simple, right? You just create a vector, and inside, instead of passing a data type, you just pass your vector, and it will give you a vector as a vector. Simple. Now how do you store this, sorry, how do you input the value? That's also pretty simple. Just use the method that you use for 2D array. For int I equals to 0, for I less than 0, for, sorry, I less than, let's just say, actually, you know what, let's make it a little bit interesting. How? As I mentioned before that, vectors can have different sizes. Suppose I want to make a 2D array, then it will be like this. uh, each row and column shall be of the same size, right? But what about vector? Vector can be like this. It can have a single element in one vector, it can have another elements, another list of arrays, and after that, this, this can be a vector. This can be how a vector looks, but you can't do that in 2D array. So you see the benefit of vector, right? So let's just say that I have a row as 3 and column as 5. Okay, so for int I equals 0 till I less than r, then I plus plus, and after that, for int j equals to 0 to j less than c, j plus plus, right? And after that, we will just take a number as we did before, c in num, and we'll just push back. How? So the pushbacking in this vector is pretty different. I'll show you how. So firstly, you'll need to make a temporary variable, a temporary vector. Okay, so vector int temp. Okay, now you'll push back this num in this temporary vector, temp dot pushback. Okay, temp dot pushback your number, and after that, once you are done iterating with your column loop, you'll just push back the temp in the vector, sorry, in the origin vector. So we'll push back v dot push back and then temp. Okay, so now since v was a 2D array, means for, sorry, v was a 2D vector, which means it store vectors a vector, right? So what we do is, instead of inserting a single value at a time, we make a temporary vector, and then we insert the values that we of a particular column in that vector, and after that we simply insert that complete vector in our vector. We insert the temporary vector that we made, and we insert that in our origin vector, and after this, the life cycle of temp will end and it will get destroyed, and after that, again a new temp will be created. And this is how you create a 2D vector. And printing of a vector is again very simple. You just need to go to all this. I just copy it, just give me a sec. For printing, you don't need to do anything like this. You just need to just print it like a 2D matrix. See out v of I of j space, and after that just see out your ender. All right, I think this is the only thing that we need to know, and again I forgot. All right, now let's try to run our code. Okay, I think I made some mistake. Let's see, for int I equals to 0, I less than I plus plus. For int j equals to 0, j less than v. Oh, right, sorry. I think I found a mistake. Instead of passing c, I just passed v, and that was giving me the errors. So I think now it should work. Let's try it again. Run our code. C equals to 5. Oh, I forgot to declare it. I'm so sorry. Int, int. Done, right? All right. Now I insert my value. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, 11, so something and something and something and something. And see, we have our vectors, right? Now you can even have different sort of different size of vectors. And how do you do that? You can just ask the user every time here that what will be the like, or what will be the size of vector that you should that you will like. So you can just you can just see in a value here, see in n, right? And after that you can just run your loop that much time, and you can have different type of values, different type of arrays. All right, let's just do it. Int n, see in n, and after that we'll push back this. Okay. But how do you print the, because here we don't have any c, so how do you do that? vi dot size, as I said before. Even now you don't want, if you don't want to use r, you can just simply use this v dot size function and vi dot size function. Okay, and let's see. I think that will work perfectly. Let's try our code. Okay, so the first thing that I should enter is the size of my neuron. So I just want two elements. Okay, so 1 and 2. After that I just want four elements, so 7, 8, 9, and 4. After that I just want three elements, so 1, 7, and 4. And see, this is a vector 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, 4, 1, 7, 4, completely of different sizes. Okay, so this was the benefit of 2D vector, and I hope you enjoyed it, because we'll other videos are coming up. This was just the first part. Soon we'll be discussing set, pairs, unordered map, unordered set, and so much more. So stay tuned in, and if you like this video, please share it, because it acts as an incentive so we can work even harder. Thank you.